remember exactly when my daughter realized that Santa Claus wasn't real, because she basically just came right up to me and asked. She's like, "Hey, Dad, Philip said that Santa Claus wasn't real, and basically that she's a jerk for believing in Santa Claus, and her whole childhood is a lie." And the funny thing about that is that's actually the first moment, or the second, when kids start to realize that, you know, your parents don't always tell you the truth. Like, you can be anything you want. Perfect example. But getting past that. So anyway, she asked me straight out, "Dad, is Santa Claus real? Because Philip says Santa Claus isn't real." So I'm like, oh. Well, I tried to play it off, figuring, let me at least get this Christmas in. Because next year, see, she was only like, I think she was 3, not even 4 yet. Which, to me, kids should believe, I personally feel kids should believe in Santa Claus till 6 or 7, maybe, you know. So, like 2 or 3 years of the Santa Claus experience was like robbed for my daughter. So anyway, I tried to play it off, and oh God, at least let me get 1 more year of that innocence and the joyfulness of Christmas and the magic and all that shit, right? So I said, you know what, Daisy? Philip's just a kid. He don't know nothing, right? And I said, you know what? I've never seen Santa Claus, but I've never not seen him, and a lot of people seem to think that he's real, so maybe he is. We just can't prove it. And that seemed to buy me some time, right? And it did, a little bit, not much, right? But I was actually kind of pissed off at the kid that told her that Santa Claus wasn't real, and I knew that kid. So, you know, he's a kid, and I was like, oh, so Philip, I heard that you don't believe in Santa Claus anymore. And he's like, oh, well, no, not really. I was like, okay, well, I guess then I could just tell your mom that you won't be getting any presents from Santa Claus this year because he's not real, he exists. And then, I mean, this is a kid backpedaling. And that was my revenge, right? He was like, well, I'm not sure. That's what my friends say. Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, yeah, all right, you blew it, right? Yeah, I was like, you blew it and there's no going back, right? But I think he still got presents from Santa Claus, even though I didn't even believe in him for a couple of years, because, you know, his mom was like, no, that's my son, and you're not in charge of me torturing him, you know, which sucked, because I did want to torture him for a little bit, for ruining it for my daughter. But continuing on with Christmas presents, right? Now, here's the thing, right? I do all right, but I'm not the richest guy in the world, and there were times when Christmas was tight, because, you know, in order to do Christmas back then, especially in this day and age, you need to have like maybe $1,000 that you could blow on shit. The trees, the decorations, the dinner, the sweaters, the toys, the whatever, the presents for the wife and everybody. So I had this thing where, you know, the wife and I would be like, okay, what present are we going to put from Santa and what present from us? So I was like, well, I put my name on the good presents from Mom and Dad, you know? Like, a perfect example. One year the kid wanted a Barbie house and Barbies. Well, guess who got from Mom and Dad on the Barbie house? That's me, because it's like, hey, I'm the dad. I'm the one that she should be, oh, thank you, Dad. You know, and not throw in my face, and I'll tell you who gave the Barbie doll Santa. You know, I gave the Barbie house the big present. Santa gave the Barbie dolls. Then I don't need some kid thrown in my face years later, like, screw you, Dad, you never got me any good presents anyway. At 3 or 4 years old, it's like, Santa got me a good present, you know, because if I said, oh, I'm not giving you a birthday or a Christmas present. Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is, I wanted to be the good guy, the hero, and I didn't want to be outdone by an imaginary dude named Santa Claus. I got another Christmas story. So speaking of which, how I said, like, oh, I didn't always have a lot of money for Christmas and stuff like that. So what I would do every year, you know, we would put up a tree, but it was never always nice, and my place wasn't that big. And so what I would do every year is I'd go over one of my friend's house, like one that was like totally into Christmas, right? And I'd do this for like the first 3 years. So the kid couldn't really realize what I was doing. And I would always take pictures in front of the Christmas tree I put the kid in front of the Christmas tree, take like a picture next to a huge stack of presents. So then, like later on in life, I could be like, yeah, do you remember your first 3 Christmases? Look at all the presents. Wasn't that a nice tree? But of course my wife ruined that. She's like, wait, that wasn't at her house. Our house, that was at, say, Joe's house or something. And I'm like, shit, damn it. You know, I can't even lie to my kid a little bit. I got one more story about Christmas related items. So, the kid that ruined Christmas for my daughter, right? One day, he's like, well, okay, he was a little tricky guy, right? And one of the things he did one day was he asked my wife, who babysit for him, he said, hey, can I bring my Nintendo Game Boy, because this is a bit back. He said, can I bring my Game Boy and games to school, right? And my wife knows how little kids steal from each other or take or break and stuff. And at the time, they were very expensive items, right? A game, $50. The system, hundreds. So my wife was like, no, you cannot. And he was like, oh, come on in. She was like, no, right? So here's the tricky part. He said to her, fine, right? But she wasn't always the only one that watched him. So on another day, he had another babysitter, right? And he said, can I take my Nintendo and my games to school? And she was like, are you allowed to? And he went, yes, I am, right? So he did. He took his games and his Nintendo to school, right? And guess what happened? One of his other kids there jacked it from him, right? So he comes home, he's got nothing, right? And eventually, people notice, hey, where's your game system? Where's all the games I bought you? So he did get in trouble. But he's trying to play it off, right? And explain away, right? Because and we already knew he didn't even believe in Santa anymore, right? But he goes like, so we catch him. We go, so I heard you got in big trouble, you know, for taking your game into school. Yeah. So you kind of tricked your babysitter, right? Yeah, okay. And he was like, grumbly. And I said to him, yeah, so got in big trouble. He goes, well, I didn't get in too much trouble because, honestly, Santa Claus brought me that system and stuff and the games anyway. And I was like, what? Oh, crap. You didn't just go there, right? Because first of all, I already knew he didn't believe in Santa Claus anymore because he's the one that ruined for my daughter, right? But I said to him, I said, okay, you know what? You're full of crap. Because even if Santa Claus did buy the other stuff for you, I know for a fact I bought at least 3 of those games and I paid $100 for them. Because I gave him gifts too. You know, even though I'm complaining about him, you know, he's a kid. You can't really just, you know, anyway. And that, like, shut him up a little bit. But he already knew that crap. It's like, Santa bought me this. Santa bought me that. No way. You know, I was like, you know, I ought to tell your mother you don't even believe in Santa. He's like, no. Teach him like a lesson. Like I said, teach him a lesson. But it all goes back to that whole thing of what I said about, like, good presents not coming from Santa Claus. Because the kid, little stinker, thought, oh, I could throw that in my mom's face. You didn't buy it. You didn't pay any money for it. Santa Claus bought it for me, right? But no. Like, if I had bought him the Game Boy and all those games, it would have been like, I bought the Game Boy, I bought all the games, and Santa bought the case for the Game Boy. Or I bought, like, I don't know, something crappy, because, you know, like I said, Santa don't spend all the money in the house. He's just like, you know, Dad's a hero, and not Santa.